I guess without further ado, I will say good morning to Home Sale. Thank you for joining us on this very first Ninja Selling Zoom presentation. We're so excited to be partnering with Ninja and to have Terry Johnson as our master coach and Ninja instructor. She asked to provide her background information on her own, so I'm going to turn it over to her, but we're super, super excited to have you, Terry. Thank you so much for getting up so early on West Coast time to be with us here on the East Coast.
You bet. Thank you so much, Regina. It's great to be with all of you this morning, and thanks for being here. Wow, what a great group, 241 of us. My name's Terry Johnson, and I am a Master Ninja instructor. But more importantly, and what I want you to know about me is that I am you. I have been a licensed realtor since 1990. I call that forever, but for a very long time, I'm licensed in 2 states, California and Nevada. And it is 6:32 here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada this morning. So super excited to be with you. You'll learn way more about me over our time together on these 4 Zoom calls and at our Ninja installation than you probably ever wanted to, but you, I hope, will sense my enthusiasm this morning. I love what I do. I think real estate, in my opinion, is the best career path on the planet. And then I was asked after about 21 years, I finally succumbed to the pressure of becoming a Ninja coach and instructor. Only because I didn't feel I had what it took, but others saw much more in me than I did. So with that, let's get moving and let's talk about why we're here today. We are so proud to be partnering with you as Ninja, as your training platform. Like I said, I was licensed in 1990, but in 2001, 11 years into the business, I was already a CRS. I had taken every single training that there was to take. You know how we are. We're classroom junkies. I had every designation. It looked like I'd been in college for 40 years and had never even gone to college with all those designations behind my name. And I was still working myself half to death. I'm sure you can't relate to that, or maybe you can. Working all the time, desperately needing the next transaction to close and doing a really great job of it. I mean, I was super successful and certainly in the top ranks in my town. But I went to this CRS class called Ninja Selling, and I already had my designation, like I said, but I went because of the name more than anything. I thought, well, that's kind of a funny name for a CRS class, but they were all great classes. And friends, I say this with such sincerity, my life began to change on that day. I thought to myself, why in the world is this program not required of brand new agents? It was what I needed. It gave me my life back. So with that, I'm going to jump into our topic today. And of course, I could only get Regina to give me an hour today. I really asked if I could have all day because I get kind of on a tangent and I want to share everything I know today. So you're going to have to come back on our next call, on our next call, on our next call, and then you'll have to come to our Ninja installation to get the whole story. But today we're going to touch on my favorite topic, and that is living on purpose. Another way to phrase this is the Ninja mindset. And we'll spend a ton of our entire call today just talking about living our business and our life on purpose. I don't know about you, but I feel very confident in saying that real estate has consumed my life at times. Anybody with me? It just ate up every single minute of every day, every Friday night, every weekend. It leaks into every part of our life, right? And to say that we were living our life on purpose would be a stretch at times. So I want to ask you a question. Are you living your life on purpose?
My camera's over the back, but I don't want to do video.
By default or by design? Do you just react to every single thing that comes your way? Or are you living it by design? we call it on purpose. So are you living it on accident or on purpose? I always jokingly say, but it's the truth, it's not a joke, that if someone had asked in my first 11 years in the business, how did you have, tell me what you do. How has your success been so amazing? Here's the honest to goodness truth. I don't have a clue. Lucky, which by the way, I don't like that word. It seems like the harder I work, the luckier I get. But I was just in the right place, I don't know. I have no idea the first 11 years, but I'll tell you what, starting in 01 to present, it's been 20 years this year. My life and my business is a reflection of living it by design and living it on purpose and truly living it the ninja way. So what I'd like to unveil today, and I'll do my very best to get it all in there in an hour, is 3 steps that we feel are fairly easy steps to living on purpose. Number 1, and I'll unpack all of these in their entirety, is discovering your why. Discovering your reason for living. Why are you doing what you're doing? I wonder if anybody besides me has ever said this to yourself. I'm over this business. Like, I want to be the greeter at Walmart. That's what kind of responsibility I want, right? No slide on Walmart. That job looks great to me, right? No responsibility. Sometimes we forget why we get into this business. Number 2, controlling my focus, our emotional energy, and how about our fears? Does anybody besides me ever let fear creep in? We appear as though we've got it all together, but deep down inside, something is still screaming fear. And then number 3, focusing on what we call our success habits. It's called the Ninja 9, and I'll talk to you about that in just a little bit. And our peer group. Who are we hanging out with? The more I've studied your company, the more I've talked to your leaders, the more I realize that you guys get the importance of your peer group. You get the importance of those that you surround yourself with. So let's start with number 1, discovering our why, our reason for living, if you will. I'll tell you where this word drifters came from in just a moment. But who are drifters? And you might start to see yourself in some of these descriptions. A drifter is somebody that doesn't really have a why. They show up, but they don't really have a why. They don't have a definite chief aim. They're just drifting with what's going on. Here's the bummer about a drifter. Since March of last year, so almost a year now, the real drifters they've drifted so far away from their businesses because of what's gone on in our nation and our world. They've drifted along with the thinking patterns of what's going on with coronavirus and the civil unrest and the political environment and so on. So where did we get this word drifter? I love this word because everybody knows what it means to drift, right? If you've not read Napoleon Hill's book, Outwitting the Devil, it's probably one of the best books I've ever read on its topic. But what's interesting about it is everyone knows Napoleon Hill or has heard of Napoleon Hill. And we know that he's been gone for decades, right? I'll talk about that in just a moment. But in his book, he says that drifters, of course, have no definite chief aim. They're completely, totally reacting to life or living their life on default. That whatever comes their way is how they handle, or is what they handle for the moment, right? They're in a continuous state of constant distraction, distracted by the news, distracted by what's going on, distracted by the fact that there was no, football or baseball or basketball season. They're just distracted by all the stuff that's going on because they don't have a definite chief aim. They're very, very much concerned about what others think of them. So they're always thinking about that. But how about this? They're very focused on being entertained. These days, many, you can go anywhere. I mean, for heaven's sakes, you can go to church and you see people being entertained by these, a constant state of distraction. And what he says in his book is that these people are the devil's favorite target. Now, we're not talking about a devil like a little red guy with horns and a long tail. We're not talking about that devil. We're talking about what he calls the devil, which is it's the negativity. It's all the stuff around us that's pulling us away from what we should be focused on, right? So here's the really interesting fact about this book. This book was written in 1938. Now, when you read it, if you read it, you will go, you've got to be kidding. It literally seems like this book was written yesterday. It's that pertinent to the world today. So it was written in 1938, but Napoleon Hill said, you cannot release this book until I pass away. It's far too controversial. I don't want my family to have to deal with what they would have to deal with if I were to release it now. Well, once he passed away, his wife said, it cannot be released until I'm gone. And you're starting to get the picture, right? It did not get released until 2011. But folks, it was written in 1938. Now, if you choose to read it, I'm going to just throw in an opinion. And that opinion is, in this particular book, you will be doing yourself huge favor if you listen to it. Now, I listened to it and then I bought it. And I'll tell you why you want to listen to it. It's done in interview format. And so Napoleon Hill has one voice and the devil has another voice. So it's really, really engaging in audio format. But why did he feel that it would be so controversial? Well, he said that he thought we were being controlled by fear. Nothing like what the world is today, right? That we were being controlled by fear. Fear of what? Well, there were people out there that were using fear to get us to do what they wanted us to do. In 1938, nothing like today's world, right? It's unbelievable. So how did he describe the devil? This is really important for you to understand as we dig into our mindset and living our life on purpose. And this is a quote from the book. I'm a principle or a form of energy which expresses the negative side of matter and energy. I'm not a person with a forked tongue and a spiked tail. So the devil is the negative side of everything that's going on right now. Stop for just a moment and think. If you got up this morning and read the newspaper, no offense, no judgment on the fact that you read the newspaper or watched the news, but does that fall on the negative side of matter and energy? Pretty much. Pretty hard to find anything positive in it. And I could go on and on and on and on. He also says that fear is his favorite tool. Fear is his favorite tool. So this universal choice, again, is this 2021 or is this 1938? The universal choice of love versus fear, right? We talk a lot about fear in Ninja because what we know is what we focus on expands, and that little picture, if you can even tell that it's actually a brain, is a portion of our brain called the reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system will filter out for you anything that you don't want to see and bring in everything you do want to see so that you stay sane. Okay. And so if you focus on fear, it will show you all the reasons to be afraid, all the reasons that we should live in fear, that, that the world is not a friendly place. But if we focus on love and on caring and on kindness, it will show us all the opportunities for that as well. We have a definition that we use in Ninja for fear, and it is not Webster's definition. And we call it fear is the absence of love. We got this from two different places. So depending on what side of the fence you fall on, Marianne Williamson in her book, A Return to Love, says that fear is the absence of love. The Holy Bible in 1 John 4:18 says that there's no fear in love. But the truth is that fear keeps a lot of us from doing what it is we want to do, or what we say we want to do. But because we're afraid, we don't do it. So what is the antidote for fear? Is anyone out there ever afraid of just stepping out of your comfort zone so that you will be more successful? I mean, if I was face to face with you, I would see hundreds of hands. Of course we are, right? So love is the antidote to fear. Here's what we know. If we're afraid, here's who we're thinking about. That's kind of a scary thought in my mind. If I'm afraid, I'm thinking about myself. Yes, if you're afraid of picking up the phone and loving on your people, which is just my way of saying being in the flow with our people. We're realtors, right? If you're afraid, you're thinking about yourself. If I'm afraid, I'm thinking about myself. But when I focus on just loving on them, my fears go away. There's never been an easier time to teach and to be someone who is reaching out to our people. Because right now, our people need us. They're afraid. What's the market hold? What is the future economy of our country? Nobody knows. But love is the antidote to fear. So I want to start getting you to believe yourself that you are the antidote for many of your clients' fears. If you would just pick up the phone and call them and ask them, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Are the kids back in school? Are you back to work? Are all of you on Zoom calls all day long? And just ask them how they are, that they would feel so grateful to hear from us. But we're afraid often. And when we are, we're thinking about ourselves. So I think we have to go back to the root of all of this, which is number one, and that's starting with why. If you're familiar with Simon Sinek, he's amazing. If you're not, would you jot this down? It's a TED Talk. So go to TED.com and watch his TED Talk called Start With Why. I'll just give you a brief because he'll give you a great 12-minute version or 18-minute version of what he means by this. But he's got the 3 circles that many have used. And he says that if we don't have a why, it's really hard to keep showing up. Like, I'll give you, for instance, because I am a realtor, I speak our language. Why can't be, I want to earn more money? Oh, it can be. It's been that for me before. But here's a fact. Money will become irrelevant because you're just so sick of all that we have to do to earn that money. I mean, we get tired, do we not? Sometimes we focus on the wrong thing. So why is not a big enough reason. Our why is why we do this. Why do we get up in the morning? But our why is not enough. How are we going to do what we need to do to get to our why? Well, let's take it a step further. What do we do? So in real estate, here's an example. We're realtors. We help people buy and sell real estate. How? I hope that for the rest of the life of your company, that the how is ninja. You know, please give me more ninja, give me more motivation to remember what my why is. So our what is real estate, our how is our system, right? Which I'm hoping will become ninja. And then our why is, and we're going to figure that out. I can't tell you what your why is. Only you can. Maybe you're so burnout and so frustrated right now that you've forgotten your why. Now, if you're brand new, you know your why. You got in this business because you wanted the free time, the unlimited prospect of income. I want to be with my family. I want to have dinner on the table and eat together. I want to be at the kids' games. All of those are great whys. But how are you going to do it? Please don't take the word of one of us veterans, because if we happen to be in a bad place mentally right now, I don't want you to believe us that this business is hard. This business isn't hard. It's just we don't run it on purpose. I'd like to show you a video that really depicts why. Take a look at this if you would, please.
How do I know? A lot of people, when they think of the phrase, how do I know, they always want to put the what behind it. How do I know what I'm supposed to do? The question that you really should ask is, how do I know why I'm here? Because when you know your why, your what becomes more clear and more impactful. If you know, like for instance, people know that I do comedy, but that's what I do. My why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. So I can do comedy, I can write books, I can be in a movie, because all of it is motivated by my why. In fact, I have a new web series out called Michael Jr. Break Time. We probably just did the 6th episode. It's on YouTube. So every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode on YouTube of Michael Jr. Break Time. What it is it's me. I travel around the country and I do stand-up comedy, in case you didn't know. And in the middle of my comedy set sometime, I'll stop and just talk to my audience. And we've been filming this, and it's pretty cool. So we're in Winston-Salem. I'm gonna show you a clip from Winston-Salem. And I'm just talking to this guy in the audience, and he tells me that he's a musical instructor at a school. So I was like, all right, you're a musical instructor, can you sing? Let me hear you sing a song. So this is what happened at the last episode of Michael Jr.'s Break Time. Check it. So you're a musical director? Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I see.
Let's go. Now. Okay. Here's what I want you to catch. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what becomes more impactful because you're walking towards or in your purpose.
Wow, that gives me chills every time I see it. And yes, he is a great singer, but it gave me chills because what drives you? What is your why? Your why is the rocket fuel for your life. Your why, some of you are going to laugh at this, is what wakes you up 30 minutes before your alarm clock goes off. Oh, well, Terry, nothing wakes me up 30 minutes before my alarm clock goes off. Maybe you haven't given a lot of consideration to why you're doing what you're doing. Why we do what we do gives us this drive and energy to get out of bed and go and do what we do. So maybe you have a life list, maybe you don't, but if you don't, I'm certainly going to encourage it every single time I talk to you, and certainly face to face. Our why is our reason for living. Our life list is our reason for living. Family, occupation and career, recreation and dreams, and to be and to give. What is it that you want to do in life. Real estate is just what's going to get us there. Friends, I've taught a lot of people in, this is my, going into my 11th year of teaching and coaching realtors. And I've taught so many people that didn't have a why, and so many people that had a life list a mile long, and that's what got them up in the mornings. What is it that gets you up in the mornings, that makes you want to get out of bed? There was a movie made about a life list, of course, and it was called The Bucket List. Most of us saw it. We certainly heard of it. But you know what prompted that movie? There's a fellow by the name of John Goddard, real life guy, 1924 to 1913. And he is known for, he's a famous adventurer. He had a list at the age of 15 of 127 things that he wanted to do in his life. Don't quote me on these numbers, but when he passed, his list was over 600, and he had done over 500 of the things on that list. He said that our life is the power of our life is driven by our list. The quality of your life is the quality of your list. So what does your life list look like? Because see, I mentioned this in passing, but now I'm going to dig a little deeper. That reticular activating system, that little collection of cells that's about the size of your pinky, that's at the base of your brain, it's looking for clues to help you get where you want to get. It wants to drive your why. It wants to get you where you are. So what it does, I call it an onboard search engine, but it's a filter. If everything that came in that got in, our head would probably blow off of our shoulders, but it doesn't. It lets in, number one, what we want, what we value, what we love, or if you're wired the other way, it's constantly looking for what I don't want, what I fear, what I threat. Here's a really great real estate example. As a coach and an instructor, I often ask someone who calls me and says, the wheels have come off, Terry. What can you do? Help me. I'm not where I want to be. I will ask you this question. Well, tell me what you'd like this year to look like. What's your goal? Here's what I've heard so many times. Well, here's what I don't want. I don't want a year like last year. I didn't ask what you don't want, but what that just told me is that you think in terms of fear and threat and what you don't want rather than what you do want. Well, I sure hope that this year's not like last year. All right, well then let's make it not like last year. We can't change everything around us, but we can change how we respond to it, right? The reticular activating system helps us focus on what we want. What we focus on expands. What we think about the most, we get more of. Have you ever noticed, if I had time, I would do a little test, but my worriers on this call, people that worry, they're not ashamed of saying, I'm a worrier. They raise their hand, yes, I'm a worrier. You ever noticed when you're a worrier that the more you worry, the bigger your worry gets, until you find out, of course, that it's not really your reality. And then you go, wow, I made such a big deal of that. Yeah, because what we focus on expands. So your life list, your passion list, whatever you want to call it, I would like to ask you at your own, your leisure, I would like to ask you to get started on this in all of these areas. One or two, here in a perfect world, here's what I would love to ask of you today. I would like you to hang up from this call and just stop for a moment and write down at least one thing in every category. Make this an electronic list where you can start checking things off, but start a life list or a passion list, because that's what's going to kindle your flow. All right, number 2, controlling our focus and our emotional energy. The late Dr. Stephen Covey had this emotional energy quadrant theory. He introduced this to us in the late 80s in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he said that at any time we're in one of these quadrants. Now, what I want you really to focus on is where's your homeroom? Because we could have a really catastrophic event in our family and it changed our emotional energy. But where would you say your home room is? So there's high negative. We'll start with high negative, very volatile, angry all the time, combative. Then there's low negative. You don't see that outward, but depression resides here. I call this Eeyore's corner. Eeyore, you know, we better not go. We're never going to make it, right? Low negative is a very down. They just, you know, stay in bed, stay home. Very, very depressed. Then there's high positive. High positive is, of course, it's a great part of the quadrant. In fact, I want to tell you a little story about high positive. I didn't ask Regina if I could say this, but I'm pretty sure she'll be okay with it. She runs an amazing company, right? I mean, my gosh, there's 305 of you on this call, probably on her word. And so if I had shown up today because I impressed her, but I didn't really feel like showing up because I had to get up at 4:45 to do my morning routine and to get ready for the call. And I showed up and went, hey, you guys, so you've probably heard ninjas. It's cool, it's good, but I'm not into it today. I probably would get fired before the next call because I wasn't in high positive energy quadrant. See, high positive is what we call the performance quadrant. And then lastly is low positive. And low positive is the place where I go, I love low positive. It's just where we get to go and recharge. It's a great place. But never, ever forget that when you're face to face with a client in a selling situation, high positive is where you have to be. When we're face to face with a client, when I'm face to face with you as your instructor, when Regina's face to face with you, when your managers are face to face with you, it's high positive. If it's not driving us closer to where we want to be. It's making us feel like, wow, that was kind of a downer. Another theory that the late Dr. Stephen Covey introduced us to in the same book is, again, the same 3 circles, but different words in these circles. And what he said is that focus on what you can control. So 2020, okay, the drifters, that was not their year at all. It was not their year at all. They succumbed to fear. We call those victims in Ninja. We call them victims. They were so concerned about the election, about the civil unrest, about the coronavirus, which we're all concerned about. But what we knew was all we can do is our part. We can't change it. But what Dr. Stephen Covey told us that really was a benefit for me in 2020 was, Terry, don't focus on your circle of concern. Focus on your circle of influence and control. What can I influence? What can I control? People ask me all the time, so your market, your primary market, the average sale price is $500,000. Why in the world aren't you selling real estate instead of instructing and coaching? Well, first of all, in case you haven't guessed, I'm not 25 anymore. Seasons change. My passion has changed. My kids are grown. I have grandkids. And you know what I learned? I have a gift. I didn't know it. Somebody had to convince me of it, but I have a gift of influence. If I can influence you to stay in this industry because it's the best career path on the planet, but control it, I've done my job. We can make more money than you ever dreamed, but we have to have a why, and we have to focus on our influence and our control. We have influence over our people. All those people we call our sphere of influence, they look to us as their proactive, trusted real estate advisor. I have influence over them. Only if I exude that influence. I have to pick up the phone. I have to be in the flow with them. I don't have influence just because I am a realtor. I have to exude that influence over them. And only I can control that when I'm not thinking about myself and when I'm thinking about loving on others, which are my people in this particular case. So where is your focus? See, ninjas, we focus on our circle of control and influence. Please don't get me wrong. I'm more human than you can imagine today. I know what many of you are thinking today. Well, of course you are. Look at you. You're teaching, you're coaching, you're well-spoken. All of that, by the way, came with practice. But when you get to know my real story and where I come from, and the voices that chattered in my head for decades, you go, wow, if she can overcome that, so can I. It's huge, friends. So focus on your control and influence. You will get concerned. You will fall into old ways, but ninjas have a way of bringing themselves back into the energy quadrant that they know they need to be in. So where is your focus? A drifter's focus is controlled by others, by distractions, by all the things going on in the world. They live in the circle of concern. We live in a world of complete, total distraction all the time. How about these weapons of mass distraction? Have you watched the movie on Netflix, The Social Dilemma? If you have not, buckle in and please watch it. If you don't have Netflix, ask a friend and please watch it. It is so scary, and it's all focused around the weapons of mass distraction. It's so powerful. It's not one side of the fence or the other. It's just the facts about our world of social distraction. Another great, I don't know if you've heard of him, but if you haven't, I would so highly encourage you to listen to his podcast, read his books. But Robin Sharma, he says the enemy of mastery is not mediocrity, it is distractions. The addiction to distractions is ruining many potentially awesome lives. Just look around. How many people do you see constantly focused on distraction, focused on their device, focused on everything except anything around them, everything right here, the news, social media, what's going on in other people's lives, and so on. All right, number 3, let's move on to our success habits. This is where the rubber meets the road. I literally, and I will in the Ninja installation, spend an entire day with you on your mindset, because your habits are key to our success in business. But our mindset is part of those habits. These are just a few of our favorites today. I'm going to talk about our favorite habit book in just a moment. But I love this F.M. Alexander quote. People do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. People don't decide their futures. You don't get, with all due respect to anybody that's ever taught this, you don't get to pick your goal for the end of 2021 and go, I'm going to do it, because you're not going to do it unless you decide the habits that will take you there. The habits are key. So how do I build habits that will last? How do I do this and it stick? Well, let me use a habit that I think almost all of you probably can relate to. Habits that last are things that we do over and over and over again. I would venture to say that every person on this call brushes their teeth every day. In fact, a lot of you probably brush your teeth twice a day. Some of us brush and floss 3 times a day. But let me tell you something else about this habit of brushing your teeth. You probably didn't realize it, but now you will. When you get up in the morning and you go in the bathroom and you pick up your toothbrush, you know what? You not only brush your teeth every morning, but you pick up your toothbrush with the same hand that you pick it up with every day. You put the toothpaste on the same way you always do. You start in the same part of your mouth that you always have. Our brains are so wired to do things exactly the same way they've always done them, so they can forget that and move on to something new. That's become a habit at the non-conscious level. So to test this, after I read the book I got this from, and I'll be there in a moment, I tried brushing my teeth with my left hand for a week. And I did it. And by the way, friends, I have an electric toothbrush, okay? So it doesn't take much effort. I dare you to try it. Try brushing your teeth with the opposite hand that you're handed. It was a mess. I won't describe it because it's kind of gross, but left-handed, it was a mess. And it's electric because that's not how I do it all the time. So the most powerful book I've ever read on habits came out, I'm going to say a couple of years ago. I don't remember when, but I've read it about 3 times now. And it's called Atomic Habits. I know I said I want you to read Outwitting the Devil, but I want you to put this book at the top of your list. I would love for you to have read this book before we meet face to face at the Ninja installation. It is the best book. Larry Kendall, the founder of Ninja, says it's the best book he's ever read on the topic of habits. So James Clear wants to help us get to our goals, right? This really troubled me when I read it. I've been a coach and a mentor and an instructor for 11 years, but I've always had this deep-seated desire to help others, all my colleagues. I mean, of course, buyers and sellers, but my colleagues, help them get where they want to get in life, right? And here's what James Clear says, and this troubled me. One of the problems is goal setting. I thought, what? Wait a minute. I mean, like, I'm so driven. I'm that personality type. I'm a power person. I am so driven. I'm always thinking seriously to a fault 5 or 10 steps ahead of where I am today. And he says one of the problems is goal setting. And then he begins to uncover what he's talking about. And here are many of the things that we goal set, right? I'm going to go on a diet. Oh, I'm going to exercise. Oh, I'm going to make more money, or I'm going to have more stuff or whatever. But then he goes on to say that a goal is the outcome. What's the system that will build those habits so that you'll get there? This is a quote from the book. Success is not a goal to reach or finish, to get to the finish line. It's a system to improve. Success is not a goal to reach or a finish line to cross. It's a system that's going to get me there. One of my, if you're on my coaching, if you're just a friend of mine, I mean, literally I speak this language all the time. And I say this, you don't need to be perfect. You need to be progressing. The original ninja, Jimmy D, that's his quote, progress, not perfection. Are you a little bit better today than you were yesterday? I know I'm a little bit better today than I was yesterday. I read a lot yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. I spent the day sitting in the backyard. I read all day, just enjoying. I was in the energy quadrant, low positive, all day yesterday. So I know I'm a little bit better person today than I was yesterday. How? I'm not sure. I just know I was reading, I was recharging, I was rejuvenating my body. I was just getting ready for my week. So now let's talk business. What about business habits? What will my success look like if I have a habit in business? We call our success formula the Ninja 9. The Ninja 9, it's 5 daily habits and it's 4 weekly habits. They're so simple. They're so simple. And it's our process of generating the leads that will lead to better relationships and a better business. And if I could add this, because it's my life story, a better life. If my business gets better, my relationships are better, my life is better, my goals are way more apt to happen, right? So where did the Ninja 9 come from? I mentioned Larry Kendall's name, but I'll mention it again here. He's the founder of a company in Fort Collins, Colorado called The Group Incorporated. And he is one of 12 people that founded this company that is now about 200 strong, not a huge company, not the biggest company, but they're a company that does the most transactions per agent and have for decades because they follow the Ninja 9. So where did it come from? Larry Kendall is a master at following people's progress. Maybe you've heard of, maybe you're too new and haven't heard of, the late Howard Brinton. He had a training platform called Star Power. And Larry Kendall was one of the instructors for Star Power. So what Larry Kendall began to do is document not only all the success of the agents at the group, which we call the Ninja Laboratory, but he also started documenting all the success habits of the people that Howard Brinton would bring on as speakers for Star Power. And that's where the Ninja 9 came from. He didn't make it up. He watched people that were already in our industry, but doing it at a very high successful level. And he just put together a list of the most important activities. And some of you, if you haven't heard of Ninja 9 or the Ninja 9, you're going to go, how can it be that easy? There are so many of us, myself being one of them, that are living proof that if you will follow these 9 habits, they will take your business in a direction you cannot believe. Are you ready? Let's unpack these habits. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. I spend an entire day at the Ninja installation, but I am going to give them to you. So habit number 1 is our gratitudes and affirmations. How do you start your day? Terry, you got to be kidding me. It can't possibly be that easy. It is. The science behind gratitudes is off the hook. If you Google gratitudes, you can't read all the science there is on how powerful this is with regard to starting our day that way. Our affirmations. Remember, what we focus on expands. Affirming that which you want to become a reality in your life. Number 2, time block. We have what's called a Ninja Perfect Week. And if Regina wants me to send over the Ninja 9 and the Ninja Perfect Week, I will, and she can distribute this to you. But the Ninja Perfect Week is literally a calendar that's got the Ninja 9 already on it. Now, you don't have to follow our calendar exactly. You just have to block the time, depending on what your life looks like, if you're homeschooling, if, whatever. But stay on your agenda. Oh my goodness, we're a world that wakes up to this doggone thing. And then we look at it in the dark and we engage in other people's lives before we even engage in our own life. Stay on your agenda. Write 2 handwritten personal notes daily. Handwritten personal notes daily. Focus on your hot list. Who's hot? Those are the people that want to buy or sell right now within the next, let's say 30 to 60 days. They're getting pre-qualified. They are pre-qualified. They're getting their house ready. Their house is on the market. They're hot. How about this one? Focus on your warm list. If I could get you to pick up the phone today and call 5 of your people and don't ask anything about real estate, just talk about them, I bet you would find someone that says something like, we need to get closer to the family. We need the family to get closer to us. We need a bigger house. We're all on Zoom calls, whatever the case may be. Those are your warm people. They're probably going to do something within the next 12 months. But we get so focused on the current transaction at hand that sometimes we even drop the ball on our hot list, let alone our warm list. I know I'm not the only one on this call that has dropped the ball with someone who said they wanted to buy or sell real estate, but they didn't do it right then. Now, before I go on to the 4 weekly habits, these are the daily habits, I want to tell you a story about a panel of realtors that Larry Kendall was the moderator for this panel. And they were from all different parts of the country. They didn't know each other prior to being on this panel. And Larry Kendall asked this question, and it was fascinating, the answer he got. When it comes to Ninja, what's the one thing that drives your success? Are you guys ready for it? I don't really think you are, but it had to do with the Ninja 5, the first The 5 daily habits, okay? Not the 4, which I'll get to. Across the board, the ninja one thing, and I'm going to focus on one of the gals because she said it best. When I start my day right, I have a great day. Gratitudes and affirmations, number 1. My great days turn into great weeks. My great weeks turn into great months. And my great months made my best year so far. It's our morning routine. It's the reason that you wake up before your alarm goes off. And I know some of you think I'm crazy, but give me enough time with you and you'll believe me. What is it that drives you? I'm near certain it's not real estate related. I'm near certain it has something to do with something that resonates deeply within you. Family, dreams, what you want to do, what you want to be, what you want to give. I'm near certain. Another great quote from Robin Sharma. He says, your most important hour of the day is the first hour of every day. How do you spend that hour? I wish I had time to expound on this, but I don't, so I'm going to move on. Let's talk about the 4 weekly habits. So the 4 weekly habits, and of course, we're going to schedule them. Number 6, schedule your client service calls. Block the time that you call all your sellers, all your buyers, all your hot list, the people that you're currently working with. What time do you call them every week? Schedule 2 live real estate reviews weekly. We'll talk about these on one of our future Zoom calls. It's a fantastic way to rekindle your business. Talk to 50 people a week. Oh, Terry, that's where you lose me. I'm out. 50 people a week. That's insane. I thought the same thing. Here's what you don't realize. What we track, we don't know. When you start tracking your calls, I'm here to say that I bet you talk to between 20 and 40 people a week. I'm sorry, a day. I'm sorry, a week. Please forgive me. A week, 10 a day. 10 people a day. We're in the relationship business. If you're not talking to people, there's your first problem. We're in the relationship business. Pick up the phone. But here's something that's even more cool about the 50. If you just despise the phone, get out in the world, go golfing with 3 people. There's 3. Talk to a couple people at the gym. There's 5. And it's only 8 a.m., right? Everyone you talk to counts towards the 50 if, write this down if it's not in your handout, if you ask forward questions. F stands for family and friends. O stands for occupation. R stands for recreation. And D stands for dreams. Let me make this really simple for you. Talk to them about them and quit talking about yourself. Please. They don't want to hear. They don't care. Can I just be honest? I've done this a long time. If they ask, you can answer. But if they don't, how was your weekend? What'd you guys do this weekend? How are you feeling? How are the kids' schooling going? How's work going? I mean, talk to them about them. And then number 9, update your database weekly. Make sure that everyone you talk to, that you send a note card to, that you ran into at the grocery store, that you update that on your contact management system. So the next time you pull up their name to call them and you are reminded because you put a note in there that their daughter is away at boot camp, that you go, before we go any further, how's your daughter doing? How are you doing with her gone? And you talk to them about them. You guys, nothing makes people love us more than proving that we have care and concern for their needs. They tell NAR that year after year after year, and yet there's trainers out there, sorry, everyone, just gonna say it because I learned it, that teach us to say, have you thought about buying or selling now or in the near future? That doesn't tell me you care. That tells me all you care about is you and the next deal you might get from me, and they'll start avoiding you. Talk to them about them. They know what we do for a living. They want to work with people who have care and concern for their needs. I don't know if you've ever heard this Jim Rohn quote. The question is not whether the formula for success will work for a person, but whether a person will work the formula. The formula works. The formula works. I'm just going to leave it at that. You'll decide how bad you want what you say you want. And your activities will prove if you really want them or not. The Ninja 9 are our success habits. They're easy to do, but anything easy to do is also easy not to do, right? So we get this question often. Why would someone not follow the daily activities that have been proven to lead to success? Why would they not do that? Well, the answer is easy. And both of these are direct quote from the late great Jim Rohn. Because they don't think it matters. Because they don't think it matters. It does matter, friends. What we do every day matters more than what we do once in a while. What we do every single day. I'm kind of bouncing around from many of the greats, but back to James Clear again. In The Compound Effect, he says this: your life is an aggregation of your decisions repeated over time. Good habits make time your friend. You know where I'm going with this, I'm sure. Bad habits make time your enemy. What we focus on expands. I want to tell you a real life story about a gal by the name of Mary at the group incorporated in Fort Collins, Colorado. She didn't love real estate. In fact, she said this: it seems like you guys love real estate, like you're passionate about it. Well, some of us are super passionate about it, but some of us aren't. Can we be honest? Some of us got in this business so we could make the income, but we're not passionate about real estate. Well, Larry Kendall tells a story about Mary, and he says these words: she was a mediocre agent, an amazing person, a mediocre agent, and he could never get to her why. And then all of a sudden, her daughters got college age. And he said they were talking about it at her goal setting or her business planning review. And all of a sudden, she realized that she needed to earn the money to get her daughters through college because she didn't want them to graduate with debt. All three girls were in college at the same time. Two of them were at Harvard and one, is that right? Two of them were at Santa Clara University and one was at Harvard. About $50,000 a year. So she needed to earn $200,000 a year, a far cry from what she had ever earned. But as soon as her daughters got in college, she started earning $200,000 a year across the board. It was easy for her. What do you think happened when her daughters graduated from college? And just bring that to your mind. What do you think happened? Because here's what happened. Most think she stopped earning it, but the truth is she kept earning at that level. Can I tell you why? Because what her actions created was an atomic habit. All of a sudden, she became an earner at $200,000. That was her identity. Her identity was, I'm a $200,000 earner. It changed who she was. Her process was the Ninja 9, and her outcome was the goal. But not until she had a why that was deep enough to get her there did that happen. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. I'm a person who earns at that capacity. I'm a person who works out at that capacity. I'm a person who practices being that significant other, whatever. You fill in that, right? Instead of, I'm a person who wants to. I am a person who. It's called identity-based habits. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a marathon runner. Become a runner. Marathon runners don't go, you know what, I'm going to become a runner and run a marathon. They train for that, right? The goal is not to take a ninja class. The goal is to become a ninja. You've probably heard this quote, but I want to share it with you again. We become what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act. It's a habit. I always love to tag on to this. Who wants to become habitually excellent? I hope that's you. Vote for your identity. Every action that you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. So every time I want to become a marathon runner, and I ran just around the block because that was all I could do. You went, hello, that's who I am. I'm a runner. Every time you do it, right? But it also works in the opposite. If I don't do it, there I go again. I'm not a runner. I knew I wouldn't do it. Self-talk, when faced with a decision, needs to look like this. What would a healthy person do? What would a wealthy person do? What would a ninja do? I'll tell you what a ninja would do. It's real simple. It's easy to do, but it's also easy not to do. We would do the Ninja 9. That's voting for your identity to be a high income earner and have a life outside of real estate. I know I'm over, but I want to finish. So if you have to leave me, I'm going to do my best to be done in the next couple of minutes. So how do I change my identity? How do I do this? It really is simple, friends. It's just, you got to commit to it. Decide who you want to become. What is your why? What do you want to be? What do you want to look like? And then affirm and visualize that to confirm that identity. Make a vision board. Have something in your vicinity that constantly casts a vote for your identity with your habits. You want to vote for, there I go again. I am so amazing. There I go again. That's so great. And then select the peer group that supports your identity. Take a close look. Instead of saying to your kids this week, I would check, I'm not sure that's the friends you ought to hang out with. Before you say that again, how about this? Say that to yourself. Who are you hanging out with? Who are you rubbing shoulders with? As much as 80% of our success can be attributed to our reference group. Who are you hanging out with? Who are you hanging out with? Birds of a feather flock together. Who are you flocking with? Choose your peers wisely. Obviously, you've chosen your peers at work wisely. You're with a great company. Are you rubbing shoulders with them? Are you having lunch with them? How about the people outside of work? One of the most effective things you can do to build better habits is to join a culture where your desired behavior and identity is the norm. Look at your leaders. When you're surrounded by people like them, that's the norm. That's who Regina has brought into the organization to help you become who you want to be. Nothing sustains motivation better than belonging to the right tribe. So let me just wrap up with what I started with. 3 simple steps to living on purpose. Discover your why. Take some time this week to be alone with yourself and discover why. And then begin to control your focus and your emotional energy. And if fear creeps in, tell it no. Your job here is done. You don't get to come in anymore. Thanks for stopping by in the past, but your job here is done. And then begin to focus on the success habits and your peer group. We've included in your handout a reading called I Am Habit. I would love for you to wrap up your day today, or maybe this call today, with reading this. Life happens at the level of movement, not words. Let's stop talking about it and let's be about it. We have a saying in Ninja, we love it. You'll get note cards from ninjas that sign off with this, TSW. This system works. If you'll work the system, this system works. Thank you so much for being with me today, you guys. I wish I had 5 hours, but I don't. I'm going to stay on the call for a few minutes in case anybody has any questions, but thank you. And I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Regina.
Thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate it. That was so impactful. We had over 300 people on the call, so and pretty much all of them stayed through the whole thing.
Awesome.
Some people had to go on vacation. I got a couple in the chat box, but this is being recorded, so you can access it after we're finished here. We'll make sure we send the recording to you. Terry said that she does have a few minutes if anybody has any questions. I see a lot of thank you coming across the chat.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions about what Terry covered today, or just comments?
I think it was really, really good information. One quick question, and I missed it. I think it was on the 4th page of our handout.
Okay.
We used to stay in the positive energy quadrants.
Mhm.
Could you repeat those?
So you want me to repeat the energy quadrants?
No, the strategy is to stay in the positive energy quadrants.
Okay, so was there a blank for you to fill out there? Just give me a hint.
There were
Yes.
5 blanks.
5 blanks, perfect, okay. Let's see, let's see if I can come up with those. Let me get back on that, that slide. So was there high negative, high positive, high low positive? Were those blanks?
No, I think it's the next slide, maybe.
Okay.
It was in between that slide and the Stephen Covey slide.
So this was the next slide.
Yeah, there was a gap in between though.
Ugh.
Strategy is to stay in your positive energy quadrants.
Well, I don't know what goes there, but can I give you my, I don't know what goes there, honestly. But let me give you my, a little more detail now that I'm not under the gun. People can
Sure.
sign off if they need to. When you catch yourself in the wrong energy quadrant, the key is knowing I'm in the wrong energy quadrant and then picking myself up and intentionally putting myself in the energy quadrant that I want to be in. I mean, think about it. All of us have woke up on the wrong side of the bed at one time, right? Just having a bad day, had a bad night, had a bad week, whatever. I get to choose how I want that day to go. And so when I get up, I can lie there and do my gratitudes, and I can recite my affirmations, and I can get my head in the game, or I can get up ticked off and go through my day like that. And it's going to create yet another day on the negative side of the quadrant theory, whether it's high or negative. So I have a choice which quadrant to be in. It's whether I'm going to take advantage of that choice and go, I'm done, I'm out, I'm not staying there anymore. One of my favorite books, easy read, powerful read, is called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And it's about highly effective, successful people and what their mornings look like. And he only gives himself 5 minutes. 5 minutes to be on the negative side of the energy quadrant, no matter what happens. And I'm telling you guys, his life has been a series of train wrecks, just life, right? He's 40 something. And he gives himself 5 minutes. And then he says, I got to move on. And I can't move on in this energy. So that's not filling in your blanks, Jim, but pick yourself up and put yourself where you want to be and act as if you're there, even if your mind is still on the negative side, until your mind catches up with your body is not going to put up with it.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Carrie, this is Joanne Poole, and I had one question for you.
Yes.
In your 4 weekly habits, you mentioned Ford. What was the O in Ford?
Occupation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Hi, I saw
Okay.
a list of books. There were like 4 books up on the screen. Were those books that you wanted us to also read?
Well, they're books that I got, that we got the material from. They're books that ninjas read. Yes, so it was probably Outwitting the Devil, Atomic Habits. Somebody give me a clue. There was others. I mentioned the Morning Miracle Morning.
There was Rich Habits.
Oh,
Success.
those 5. Yes, those are 5 amazingly great books on the topic of habits. And do I want you to read them? Yes, in time. That would be awesome. What we focus on expands. But what I would love for you to have read before I get to you face to face is Atomic Habits. Our success in life and in business completely, totally revolves around our habits. You don't know this about me. You barely know me. I mean, we've been together for an hour, an hour and a few minutes. Nothing is more important to me than your life. I want your business to be great, but if I could get you to change the trajectory of your life, your business will get better. I'm all about your energy, your habits, loving on other people, getting yourself out of what you've been told all your life. We all have a version of the truth that we store right here, and you'll learn mine when we're together for 4 days. And nothing is more detrimental to some of us than what we believe as the truth about ourselves. It's our version of the truth. It's not really the truth. And if I can get you past that, you can do, you can be, you can have, you can give anything you want to. Anybody else?
I had a comment to make. I am going through a photography course right now because I'm a realtor and I'm also a photographer. And the photographers were saying, well, when you were talking about how when you actually care about somebody, that's what makes them want to work with you, because they want to work with people that they like and they trust. And they were talking about Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and saying about how when you actually care about somebody, like talking about his experiment, like you could go to a party, not know anybody, but then you can make all these friends just by letting them talk about themselves, because it shows that you actually care about them. And that just resonated with me.
Yes, absolutely. And that's right along the ninja path. It's very much what we teach. Anybody else?
Good point, Jaden. Okay, well, I thank you so much for joining us. Terry, thank you for spending an hour or so with us. We can't wait to have you back again in a few weeks with our second session. Just so everybody knows, again, this has been recorded. We will make sure you get the recording. Also, there were a couple questions in the chat about handouts. The handouts, we'll also resend those to you. They were in where you registered. There was a link there for the handouts, but we will make sure you get those again if you haven't. And I think there are probably a lot of people who filled in all the blanks, so maybe we'll get you those too. We'll look forward to seeing everybody next time. Thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.
Make it a great
Till
week.
next time.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.